Hello Army! Welcome back to K Heart Channel. Nobody expected the night in Mexico to end like this. The stadium was still glowing with thousands of army lights, the cheers were still echoing through the air, and everyone believed BTS were about to give their final goodbye with smiles. But then, something suddenly changed in Jungkook's expression. His voice started shaking. The happiest member on stage could barely look at the crowd anymore. He paused in the middle of speaking, trying to hold back emotions that were becoming impossible to hide. And when Jungkook finally apologized to ARMY through tears, the entire stadium fell completely silent. Nobody was prepared for it. Fans who came to celebrate were suddenly crying with him. Some ARMY could not even hold their phones steady anymore after seeing Jungkook break down in front of tens of thousands of people. But what happened next completely destroyed everyone emotionally. Out of nowhere, Kim Taehyung quietly walked toward Jungkook, placed his hand on Jungkook's shoulder, and stayed beside him without saying much. That single moment changed everything. The way Taehyung looked at Jungkook, the way Jungkook tried to stay strong while holding back tears, and the way the entire stadium started crying together, it became one of the most heartbreaking taekook moments ARMY have ever witnessed. And what Jungkook said right before the concert ended left millions of fans unable to move on. The atmosphere inside the Mexico Stadium no longer felt like the ending of a concert. It felt like millions of emotions were colliding at the same time. Only minutes earlier, the crowd had been screaming, dancing, and celebrating every final second of the night. The giant stadium was overflowing with energy, camera flashes, and endless chants for BTS. But after Jungkook suddenly broke down emotionally, everything changed so fast that even longtime fans could not process what they were witnessing. Jungkook stood frozen under the lights, gripping the golden microphone tightly as if it was the only thing keeping him together. His eyes were red, his breathing uneven, and every pause between his words felt heavier than the music that had filled the stadium all night. The crowd slowly stopped screaming. Thousands of ARMY who were recording the moment suddenly lowered their phones after realizing Jungkook was genuinely struggling to continue speaking. Some fans near the barricades were already crying uncontrollably. Others covered their mouths in shock after seeing tears forming in his eyes while he tried to apologize to everyone watching him. No one expected this strongest emotional moment of Mexico Day 3 to happen after the final songs were already over. And then Kim Taehyung noticed it. From the other side of the stage, Kim Taehyung's expression immediately changed the moment he saw Jungkook unable to control his emotions anymore. The playful atmosphere from only minutes earlier completely disappeared from his face. Without hesitation, Kim Taehyung quietly walked toward him. The cameras captured every second. The giant stadium screen suddenly showed Kim Taehyung approaching Jungkook slowly before placing one hand firmly on his shoulder. It looked simple. It looked small. But the emotional impact of that moment instantly exploded through the entire stadium. The second Kim Taehyung touched Jungkook's shoulder, the crowd completely lost control emotionally. Screams turned into crying. Fans who had been trying to stay calm suddenly broke down after seeing the way Kim Taehyung looked at Jungkook. There was no performance energy anymore. No stage persona. No idols trying to entertain the audience. It looked painfully real. Jungkook lowered his head for a moment, as if he was trying desperately not to cry harder in front of everyone. But standing next to Kim Taehyung seemed to make his emotions even more impossible to hide. The giant screens zoomed closer. Jungkook's eyes were shaking. Kim Taehyung kept his hand on his shoulder the entire time, staying beside him without moving away for even a second. The stadium became so quiet that fans later said they could hear people sobbing in different sections of the venue. That was the exact moment social media exploded. Clips of Kim Taehyung comforting Jungkook spread across every platform within minutes. Fans who were not even inside the stadium started crying after watching the live stream clips online. Millions of people replayed the same few seconds over and over again because the emotion on stage felt impossible to fake. But the moment that truly destroyed ARMY emotionally came right after that. Jungkook tried to continue speaking, but his voice cracked again. He paused several times while looking out at the massive crowd filling the stadium from corner to corner. The expression on his face looked filled with guilt, gratitude, exhaustion, and sadness all at once. Fans immediately began wondering why he was apologizing so emotionally. Some believed he felt sorry for not being able to show a stronger side of himself. Others believed the overwhelming love from the Mexico crowd finally broke through the emotional wall he had been holding in for months. But no matter what the reason was, one thing became clear instantly. This was not just another concert ending. This became one of the most emotional taekook moments ever witnessed on stage. Kim Taehyung never left Jungkook's side. Even while the members slowly gathered closer together, fans noticed Kim Taehyung constantly watching Jungkook carefully, as if making sure he would not break down completely. Every small movement between them suddenly became impossible for fans to ignore. The way Kim Taehyung lightly squeezed a shoulder. The way Jungkook glanced toward him while trying to stay composed. The way Kim Taehyung remained beside him until the very last seconds on stage. Those details shattered fans emotionally. Inside the stadium, countless ARMY were openly crying while hugging each other. Some fans later admitted they had attended dozens of BTS concerts before, but had never experienced silence and emotion spreading through a crowd the way it did during that moment. Even security staff and camera operators were seen looking emotional while filming the stage. And then something happened that made the entire night even more unforgettable. As the members prepared for the final goodbye, Jungkook suddenly looked back toward the crowd one more time. His eyes were still filled with emotion, but this time the stadium noticed something different. Kim Taehyung was still standing beside him. Not behind him. Not far away. Right beside him. That single image instantly became legendary among fans. The cowboy hats, the stage lights, the emotional tears, Kim Taehyung's hand resting on Jungkook's shoulder while millions watched in silence. It looked less like a concert ending and more like a moment frozen in time. Within hours, fans around the world were calling it one of the most heartbreaking and beautiful moments BTS had ever shown publicly. But what made the moment even more emotional was what fans noticed after the cameras started pulling away from the stage. Jungkook was still struggling to smile. And Kim Taehyung still refused to leave his side. The concert had already ended, but nobody inside the Mexico Stadium could move on from what they had just witnessed during Day 3. Even as the members slowly disappeared from the stage, the emotional atmosphere refused to fade away. Fans remained standing in their sections with tears still running down their faces, replaying the moment between Kim Taehyung and Jungkook over and over in their minds. Something about it felt different. Too real. Too emotional. Too impossible to forget. The giant screens finally turned dark, but the sound of people crying could still be heard around different parts of the stadium. Some ARMY were hugging strangers. Others were staring silently at their phones while rewatching clips that had already begun spreading across social media at terrifying speed. Everywhere online, the same question started appearing. What made Jungkook so emotional that night? Fans immediately began analyzing every second of Mexico Day 3. The more they replayed the videos, the more heartbreaking details they discovered. Jungkook had been trying to hold himself together long before his tears became visible. During the final songs, his smile looked weaker than usual. His energy seemed lower. At several moments, cameras captured him staring into the crowd with an expression fans described as painfully emotional. But nobody realized how close he was to breaking down until the final moment began. The moment his voice cracked, everything changed. The atmosphere inside the stadium shifted instantly from celebration into silence. Tens of thousands of people stopped screaming at almost the exact same time after hearing the emotion in his voice. And somehow, Kim Taehyung reacted immediately. That became one of the biggest reasons the moment exploded worldwide. Fans noticed that before anyone else even understood what was happening, Kim Taehyung was already watching Jungkook carefully from across the stage. It was almost as if he sensed the emotional breakdown before it fully happened. The videos made it even more devastating. Kim Taehyung's face changed instantly the second Jungkook lowered his head emotionally. The playful smile he carried during the concert vanished almost immediately. Then he walked toward him.
No hesitation.
No dramatic reaction. Just immediate comfort. That quiet movement ended up destroying millions of fans emotionally more than any speech could. Because the closer the cameras zoomed in, the more visible Jungkook's emotions became. His hands were trembling slightly while holding the microphone. His eyes looked overwhelmed from trying too hard not to cry in front of everyone. And Kim Taehyung stayed beside him through all of it. Fans later admitted the shoulder touch alone was enough to make them burst into tears. Not because it was dramatic, but because it looked deeply genuine. The way Kim Taehyung kept his hand on Jungkook's shoulder felt grounding, almost like he was silently telling him he did not need to face the moment alone. That detail spread everywhere online within minutes. But another moment made fans even more emotional after new angles from the audience began appearing online. One fan video from near the extended stage captured Jungkook briefly turning his face away after Kim Taehyung approached him, almost as if he was trying to hide his tears. Then, for a split second, Kim Taehyung appeared to lean slightly closer toward him before gently staying by his side again. That tiny interaction completely shattered ARMY. Fans flooded comment sections saying the emotional connection between them during Mexico Day 3 felt impossible to ignore. Many said the moment did not even feel like part of a concert anymore. It felt personal, real, painfully human. Inside the venue, the emotional energy became so overwhelming that even people who were not originally recording taekook moments started crying after seeing Jungkook struggle emotionally, while Kim Taehyung quietly comforted him under the stadium lights. Some fans later admitted they could not sleep after leaving the concert because the image of Kim Taehyung standing beside Jungkook kept replaying in their minds. But the emotional story did not end on stage. After the members finally bowed to the crowd and began walking toward the backstage exit, fans near the barricades noticed something else that immediately spread online. Jungkook still looked emotional while leaving. Even while trying to smile and wave goodbye to ARMY one last time, his eyes still appeared red under the stadium lights. And once again, Kim Taehyung remained incredibly close beside him the entire time. That detail caused another emotional explosion online. Fans started saying Kim Taehyung seemed unwilling to leave Jungkook alone, even after the cameras were no longer focused directly on them. And then came the moment nobody expected. Just before disappearing backstage, Jungkook suddenly turned back toward the crowd one final time. The stadium erupted instantly. Thousands of fans screamed his name again, desperately trying to give him strength before he disappeared from view completely. But according to fans closest to the stage, what happened immediately after that final turn made the entire night even more emotional. Because the last person standing beside Jungkook before the stage entrance closed was still Kim Taehyung. And what fans believe they saw between them in those final seconds has now become one of the biggest discussions spreading across ARMY communities worldwide. By the time fans finally began leaving the Mexico Stadium after Day 3, the emotional damage had already spread far beyond the venue itself. Outside the stadium gates, thousands of ARMY were still crying while scrolling through videos of Kim Taehyung and Jungkook. Some sat on the sidewalks unable to speak properly after what they had witnessed live. Others replayed the same clips repeatedly, searching for details they missed during the overwhelming moment on stage. But instead of calming down, the internet only became more emotional as new fan recordings continued appearing online every minute. Different camera angles revealed details nobody fully noticed during the concert itself. One clip showed Jungkook trying to smile before suddenly lowering his head emotionally again. Another showed Kim Taehyung staring at him from a distance seconds before walking over. Another captured the exact moment the stadium crowd collectively started crying after Kim Taehyung placed his hand on Jungkook's shoulder. The reactions online became explosive. Fans described the interaction as heartbreaking, protective, comforting, and devastating all at once. Many ARMY admitted they originally clicked on the clips expecting another emotional concert ending, only to end up crying uncontrollably after seeing the raw emotion on both of their faces. But then another detail started going viral. Fans noticed that even while Jungkook was apologizing emotionally to ARMY, Kim Taehyung never once interrupted him. He never tried to pull focus. He never attempted to turn the moment into something performative. He simply stood beside him quietly. That silence became one of the most talked about parts of the entire night. Because millions of fans felt Kim Taehyung understood that Jungkook did not need words at that moment. He just needed someone beside him while he struggled emotionally in front of tens of thousands of people. And somehow, that made the moment even more painful to watch. The emotional breakdown during Mexico Day 3 quickly became one of the biggest trending topics worldwide. Clips flooded every platform within hours, generating millions of views almost instantly. But while fans around the world were focused on Jungkook's tears, others became emotional for a completely different reason. They noticed how exhausted Jungkook looked before he even started crying. That observation created another wave of concern among ARMY. Fans began revisiting earlier moments from the concert and noticing subtle signs they missed in real time. His quieter expressions between songs, the long pauses, the moments where he seemed overwhelmed while looking into the crowd. Some believe the love from the Mexico audience simply became too emotional for him to handle in that moment. Others believe the pressure and exhaustion of performing finally caught up to him near the end of the night. But no matter the reason, one thing became undeniable. Kim Taehyung recognized immediately that something was wrong, and the speed of his reaction became one of the biggest reasons fans could not stop talking about the moment.